All right, let's get this show on the road now. We want to look at some of the stories making headlines this afternoon in the world of business. Now, Equity Bank Group has launched its 2022 Sustainability Report, which looks at how the lender has incorporated ESGs into their operation. I spoke to the group CEO, Dr. James Mwangi, about the role of the private sector in green financing, as well as enhancing governance in their operations. Here is that conversation. All right, Dr. Thank you so much for making time to speak to KTN. One of the things that we have been seeing Equity Bank pushing is the issue of blended financing. And we just want to understand, when you look at this as a way of increasing financial inclusion, how far do you see this getting to?
Thank you very much. Blended finance has allowed us to be more inclusive. We've been able to go to the bottom of the pyramid. And in blended finance, particularly in high-risk segments like agriculture, we're using donors to help de-risk the small-scale farmers, one, in capacitating them and building that capacity to resilience. And the second one is credit risk sharing through credit guarantees. That enables us to be able then to provide credit at a lower affordable rate. And lastly is where we are getting grants, like in irrigation schemes, where donors like KfW take off the cost of infrastructure and we provide the working capital and make irrigation schemes to be successful at the small-scale farmer level.
Dr. As you launch this sustainability report, of course, there's a lot of conversations happening around green financing. Maybe you can tell us what the bank is doing around that space?
Yeah, it is true that green climate financing is becoming a central consideration now. This is funding that, like now, we're working with a 12-year, 2% funding. This is to enable conversion and transition. So it requires to complement the cost of transition and also a period to allow complete transition to happen.
All right. When you look at within the Kenyan setup, of course, Equity Bank is a major player within corporate social responsibility, particularly on social responsibility, some of the things that you've been able to do. Looking forward in terms of what more is the bank going to do in that space, and if you're going to channel resources to what other sectors?
I think the two big ones is on governance. As you saw today, we hosted all the regulators. We're feeling there is a huge opportunity of strengthening governance structures, particularly in the commercial and business entities. But lastly is the issue of environment. We are feeling that environment is the biggest challenge, and led particularly because of pollution. We must really reset energy use so that we can reduce pollution and consequently reduce adverse environmental change.
All right. Lastly, maybe your call to fellow corporates, because we know that the resources that the private sector holds could make a difference. So maybe just your rallying call to fellow private members in the private sector.
Yes, to my colleagues and industry captains, as we're aware, for the last 35 years, Equity has sustained two agents, the social agent and the economic agent, and we have proven that doing well can be done simultaneously with doing good. So we would want to encourage the commercial entities, the industry in general, to adopt twin-engine approach for sustainability and shared prosperity with communities.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. for making time to speak to us. All right, and of course, a lot of that conversation, a more detailed conversation